We got another great one, ladies and gentlemen. You don't have to be perfect. I told you I was going to bring a special treat with Adam. Yes. You don't gotta be perfect, you just gotta get started. Don't overthink it. Just go the hardest to your dream. And your goal, let your goal shape how you live. Success is inevitable if you're willing to give up your old self to become someone new, to be the true you. Never be afraid to do you in front of the critics, sideline judges, non-believers, people holding their grudges. Appreciate the hate, it comes with the winning. When your wife's making the money, you're unstoppable from the beginning. Your excuses are useless. Let your actions be part of the solution. Are y'all excited like I am, ladies and gentlemen? A supreme revelation. Years of blood, sweat, and tears to become an overnight sensation. Can't do it alone. I should have said this first. Teamwork always makes the dream work. Teamwork always makes the dream work. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, we have another episode of You Don't Have to Be Perfect, and we have some special guests with you today. I had to do this episode, and you see I'm in full garb, right? We're in full swag. Normally, I've been trying to get dressed up for these episodes, but this is full dress up because I have my friend today, Miss Jill Wheeler.
Hey, everybody.
And we have my homie over there, Mr. Adam.
Woo!
And we are here today to talk about the exciting things that are going on in Center City, Allentown, right? We wouldn't be here today if it wasn't for you, right? We were talking about how we were filming this web show because I love this hotel.
Yeah.
And this is a good thing, right, ladies and gentlemen? You don't have to be perfect, but sometimes you have to have good relationships, right?
That's right. That's
so,
right.
Talking to my friend Joe.
You got it.
Right? And I was saying, hey, I love this hotel. And I said, I really wouldn't want them to shut me down because I just decided one day I'm going to film here. Right? And Joe said, let me help.
That's right.
Right? And she introduced me to our friend Adam. Right? And from there, we were able to have such an amazing conversation. Right? And then you don't have to be perfect, didn't have to hide in a corner, right?
Nope.
We were able to really build something amazing.
That's right.
And I wanted to start there because I don't think people realize how invested you are into this community. I know we see you as, the face of City Center right now that Mr. Riley's gone away and doing so many things. You are literally our face now.
Well, you're very kind. But JB is right here, and it's really a collective us why this is happening. It's not a me. It's not just JB. It's the city of Allentown and downtown, because we couldn't do this by ourselves. It's taken a community to really make this happen. It's not a building, and I say this all the time. It's not just about these shiny buildings. It's about these moments of people within and in between the buildings that really make this amazing.
Yes, that is so true. So when this outside opened up, our friend Adam said, "Hey, we're about to open up the back patio."
Yep.
It's beautiful. And it's so beautiful out here, right? And who would have thought, right, that years ago we'd be sitting in the back of 9th Street, right? 10th Street now, excuse me, and feel comfortable.
Yep.
In a beautiful atmosphere.
That's right.
Right? So, and it's a testament to your vision, right? And City Center's vision, I should say.
Vision.
The team's vision, City Center's vision. Because a lot of us, you guys take the punches, when things go down, but we don't give you enough of the credit, of bringing in people and finding great leadership. Because Adam is amazing. Adam, how does it feel to be, part of this amazing world, that, City Center has helped create, and the connections that's going on?
Yeah, it feels good. Obviously a small piece a small piece in the big operation, but definitely honored to be a part of it. And I started at the Renaissance, was there for 7 total years, and then now got a bigger chance here at the Moxie with a little bit more of an expanded role than what I was doing at the Renaissance. But like I said, just a small piece and all the cool things that they're doing, but definitely honored and it's been a privilege to work with their team closely. And yeah, I mean, it's fun to see the city expand and and it's not just city center, but they have such a big role in it, and it's fun to hear some of the new things they're doing, and the beautiful apartment complexes, and just I mean it's great to see them expand. I think about 10 years ago and I'm like, wow, like a lot has happened in Center City, Allentown, since first started working downtown. So yeah, it's been an honor.
And I love what you said there. And I don't want to miss that, right? You said you started off at the Renaissance, and then you were
Correct.
able to grow
Yep.
into a greater position. So job opportunities,
All day.
that are
Absolutely.
being created
Hmm.
because of these new buildings. Like we talk, like it's easy to knock, well, there's uh more expensive stuff. But I think with more expensive stuff comes quality, right? You have my content creator right here, who's she didn't want to live in Allentown for a while, but she's now on a bid for a city center home.
That's
All right.
awesome.
So you guys
Great.
are bringing back, people into the
Yeah,
city.
well, I like to say that we're building, I think, something downtown here that's for everybody. When people say, who's living in our apartments? We have people from everywhere across the world, but everywhere, you name an employer in this region, they're in our apartments. Whether it's a FedEx driver, an Amazon worker, a doctor, a lawyer, from literally, you follow the bio of every employer that's in the Lehigh Valley, and they're in our apartments. I mean, really, we have 1,500 apartments. That's, oh gosh, almost 3,000 people that are living down here that are now part of our community that might not have ever discovered it just because they didn't feel like there was a place for them. And so now there's this community for, all of us, really.
And I love that you say that, right? Because there's a great feeling in Center City. Yesterday there was like twenty
Oh,
thousand
it was
people outside,
amazing.
right?
Yes, the
Like,
Latin Fest. I have a video. It was amazing. I took it from the rooftop of
uh,
all these people.
and I think that comes from the growing change of things like the Moxie being built,
That's right.
right? The Archer being built,
Yep.
and having these great people, right? Because
Yep.
you can have great buildings, like you said, but without having great people,
Right.
that understand, like an Adam, right?
That's
When
right.
I pitched to Adam, I said, "Hey, Adam, I don't just want to do a show, right? I want to make it mutually beneficial,
Yep.
right? I think a lot of times, um, what happens to our young people, and this is a lesson for you guys, um, why it doesn't happen the way they want it to is because no one looks for being mutually beneficial.
Great
Like
point.
we go to city center and I go, how much money can I have? I don't think I've ever asked for $1 yet.
Mm-mm.
Like I've asked for partnerships, right? And I've asked for ways to help,
Yep.
but never for myself, right? So mutually beneficial. So Adam, I'm gonna give this to both of you, right? What does because I know you guys now having all of these new great properties have people that are just in your inboxes, right? How do I get it? How do I get it? How would someone make something seem mutually beneficial first for the Moxie and then possibly for City Center?
Yeah, so I mean, I like what you said. I mean, some people, it's about me, but you gotta kind of step outside of that and look at like how can we help each other. That's kind of what me and you talked about, and um, I try to have that mentality a lot. Whether it's working, doing more things with City Center, whether it's the chamber, whether it's speaking to you, whether it's Kyle from Inkwell, with doing a mural, whatever it is. It's like, hey man, like we could get some exposure for you while you're helping us, and it's kind of a win-win. And I think that Kyle from Inkwell always says, like, we're stronger together, like downtown Allentown. Um, and it's true, I mean, everybody could kind of win. So yeah, just kind of having that mentality, as you start your day, I think, and it's been working well. I feel like you brought up yesterday. I mean, that was awesome. I mean, we got slammed at the Moxie for the Fiesta on Hamilton, and Sundays are usually slow, but man, it was. I mean, it was packed. It was. Everybody seemed in a good mood. Weather was good. Um, but yeah, I mean, like I said, back to your original question, just kind of thinking less about me and kind of more of we, as like cliche as that sounds, like that mentality really does, grow something special over time.
Yep.
Yeah.
I would answer that. I think it's what could somebody bring to the table with, I'll say from City Center, curiosity. Like come to the door and say, hey, what are your goals? Because, I'm thinking this, you're thinking this, maybe we could figure it out together. And I think you said it from the beginning, like everybody has a cover to them. And so right away, people like judge right out of the gate. And so be curious. Don't look at that. Look at thinking, oh, okay, what do you want to do? How do you want to get there? And then you can start brainstorming naturally versus without an agenda. And I think that's the biggest thing is people come in with an agenda and it's because they're just not naturally curious about something. And like yesterday, the fiesta, I mean, you just had to walk around and just be curious and just I didn't know it. I don't know Spanish. I didn't know anything. So, but it was just so amazing just to be a part of that energy.
Yeah.
So anyway, I think the biggest thing anyone can have is don't judge and be curious.
And I think that's real big, right? Don't judge and be curious because I misjudge you, right? Because you get to hang out with some of the wealthiest people in the world in this area. You're working hard, but
Right.
you're with some of the wealthiest people in this area, but they don't realize you came from humble beginnings.
That's right.
Right? Like I mean, you had the conversation that one of the young ladies I went to high school with, you're like, I couldn't go to that high school. And I was like, oh. And you realize, because when we talk privilege, right, we only talk privilege in forms of color, right? White privilege, black privilege, right? Right. But so many different ways. You talk about how your family worked hard, and that touched me. Because I don't think people realize that, Jill, a hardworking person. She's just not, a billionaire too.
That's and I don't think none of us know anybody's story. When we sit and talk, you never know. And so that judgment, right? And just because you might be sitting at the table next to whomever, you worked hard. We all worked hard to get wherever we are. And your destination may be different than my destination. And so you just never know where people were and where they're going. Like I always joke, I watch those on ESPN, those 30 for 30s, because you just see the athlete winning everything. And then you hear their story. You're like, I can do that, So it's, again, to your point, just remember, everybody came from somewhere and you just figure out where you're going.
I love it. Yeah. I love it. Because the vision at City Center has shaped our city and it's a big vision.
And right? It keeps changing and it keeps evolving because it has to.
And I love that because it's easy for us to say, hey, what you aren't doing. But this is a testament to what City Center is. Mm-hmm. Like, I love it here, right? Like, my team gets excited to be here on Mondays, right? She's on time, She has a million things to do. So for my content creator to be on time, that means that Adam, you're doing something amazing over here. She's on time. She knows what she wants. She got snacks over here for herself. She got a great drink for her. And you're creating an atmosphere, right? So what does it feel like, right, to go from the Renaissance, because I didn't know you came from the Renaissance, right, to the Moxie, right, with all of the change, right? Because the Renaissance, I think, is really professional. Not to say it's a bad thing, but the Moxie feels more like artistic and energetic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I agree. So they're both Marriott brands, but definitely different. I would say Moxie is like a younger crazy brother or sister of, the more kind of laid back and kind of learned from their mistakes, older brother or older sister. It's Moxie's a little wild, but it's still clean and like still a really good look, fashionable. I mean, it is really a fun brand. It's all about having fun. And yeah, so their core values, it's thoughtful, spirited fun. So like it's fun and it's a little crazy, but it's with intention. And that's what I like about it. It's unique, but it's still clean and has a really cool look to it. Renaissance was fun, but yeah, this is definitely a different brand. And one of the cool things about the two of them is it's like different brands of candy. Like Hershey has Twizzlers, they have the chocolate bar, they have Reese's. Marriott has so many different brands. It's a flavor for everybody. So, you're going out with the girls for the weekend and you're going to Archer. Perfect. Stay at the Moxie, have drinks, and crash there. You're in town for a work meeting. You're trying to keep it a little bit more low key, Renaissance. So it's two different offerings essentially. I loved my time at the Renaissance, but definitely enjoying the different vibe to the Moxie. And it's something I hear all the time. Like people are like, man, it's a vibe in here. And it is like that term. It's like a new age term, but there is a certain vibe to the Moxie that's really enjoyable. And it's another thing with Moxie. It's like, it's for all ages. It's more of a mindset rather than, putting an age like 23 to 40, like instead of saying that, they really like to push the thought that it's more of a mindset. So yeah, I mean, I'm really enjoying the differences between the Renaissance and Moxie, for sure.
And it's definitely, I love both hotels. I've been blessed to stay in both of them. But this has a feel, like it really does have a vibe when you walk outside, right?
Yep.
You feel something different,
Yep.
right? And I never would have thought, and we keep saying this, I never would have thought I'd have felt this way on the
I know,
corner
on
of
that
10th
side
and
of
Hamilton,
town.
right? Like corner,
I know.
like you're on the corner. Like I'm unfortunate, right? Where I remember the bank robbery on Hamilton Street a few years ago.
Yeah.
Right. I knew the young man, because the kind of work that I do in helping communities.
Yeah.
So I knew the young man who unfortunately committed the crime. I had to talk to his mom.
Yeah.
And to think like that. It's not this. You know what I mean? And that's less than, we're talking, my son is 18, so that's about 15 years ago.
Yeah.
Right? So
Yep.
15 years, how much it changed Hamilton has come, and where will you guys be taking, when you have 15 years more?
And where are we going to take it? I think one of the best things that's happening down here, what we call downtown West, is the organic places that are opening up around this. City Center gets so excited, even more excited, when another business is able to open because of something we did. So we're noticing, the new French bakery that's on Walnut Street. I don't remember their name, but when we're seeing these businesses pop up, that is the best, because that means the organic engine is happening, and these things are going to be more sustainable because there's more people investing and making stuff happen. People say, oh, where'd you come up with this? Well, you know what the best thing is? You can go and see these moments in Philly or in New York. And for us at City Center, one of the inspirations was Fishtown in Philly. Okay. If you've ever been to Fishtown,
yes,
we knew we had an opportunity on this downtown West, and we went down to Fishtown and we saw the Fillmore, which is a larger version of the Archer.
Yep.
And we talked to people and we heard the stories. As soon as I would never come to Fishtown, and when the Fillmore came, then a restaurant opens. You start, and it's not all shiny, but you could see the started, and we're like, we could do that too. Make it a little bit more organic, more authentic. Take it out business district, and that's really what we really kind of had the vision. Of course, we want more people to bring more businesses down faster, but we think the seeds have been planted.
And you've got some great people working with you. Megan Cologne.
Amazing.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
Jane
she's
Heft with her design.
I
I
love
mean, amazing. These
I
are her.
love Jane. So
Hmm.
shout out to my sister Jane Hef. She's we're doing a big art uh exhibit coming end of June, right? June 19th to July 11th. And that's
Ooh,
all inspired by the work that we've also done. With the Arts Foundation and Jane
yep.
too. So you guys have poured into this community some really great people. Amigos Restaurant to
Uh,
watch those young men grow.
they're
I
amazing.
Yeah.
I remember when Kevin and them didn't even know how to write a business plan. So to see them, grow and
Hmm.
prosper. Now a second location
In Easton.
being able to open up
Yeah.
in Eastern, right? That is just
It's
a
amazing.
testament to you planting seeds,
Seeds.
right?
That's right.
And even Adam, like this is a seed planted
That's right.
7 years ago, right? He walked into the Renaissance, right? And did you think 7 years later you'd be the GM at the Moxie?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. Probably not. But I will say that's Jill and City Center. They have a heck of a vision. Like they see these things. Like to me, it blows my mind because they're I'm not in that field of work, but their vision. They see it far in advance, and they have the data, and they kind of set these things up when nobody even really knows it's being set up. And I think that's awesome because things start coming together. Then and it's like for them, for Jill and well, her colleagues, that's what they've been kind of waiting for. But to everybody in Allentown, they're kind of blown away. They're like, "Wow, this is new," but like they kind of been waiting for it and placing these and piecing together things. So I think just seeing that from my point of view is awesome. And yeah, it is Amigos and the Archer. Like I feel like you couldn't just place the hotel, the Moxie, where we are. Like with the Archer there, Rosa Blanca across the street, Amigos, like all those pieces kind of make it an experience. When placed together. So, props to City Center and Jill and her team and, all the great minds, Jane and, Jack, Riley, Maggie, like I mean, there's some great minds, over in that building. So, it's cool to see that come together. But yeah, I mean, back to your original question, 7 years ago, um, I was just trying to become a manager. So, it seems clear now, but at the time I definitely was just happy to be where I was at the Renaissance.
And it,
Yeah.
I think we lost him.
Yep.
Well, yeah, it's happy to be there. I get it. So when you are hearing these kinds of stories,
Yep.
right? A young man that's now grown into his own, right? And
Yep.
now is still shipping, another one of the babies of City Center, right? How do those experiences make
Uh,
you feel?
and I'm going to highlight one of, I think, Adam, been here for 7 years. Robert DiLorenzo, who's in charge of building, he's the director of all project construction. I mean, he takes the ideas and makes them real. So Robert, I'm not going to do justice for his story, but he was at Temple and he heard of this JB Riley character and what he was doing, and Robert got an internship here. Well, guess what? Robert was an intern and from Temple, and he has now been here for 11, well, 9 or 10 years. And he has gone from doing one or two, assisting on buildings to now leading and designing and making. I mean, so again, it's about that. You don't know till you ask. And he just saw in the paper, because it was the paper then, ooh, Robert, JB Riley building all these things. Ooh, I want to figure that out. He knocked on the door, was curious, came in, got an internship. He's never left. So, you can find opportunity.
I love it. And again, she's talking about being curious, right? Because there are a lot of us that will judge without asking. You
Mm-hmm.
know, we will sit back and say they are blah 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 blah, and never ask the question, right? Never made a connection, never saw how we can make a change, right?
Yep.
No change comes from accusation, but we can learn a lot through curiosity.
That's right.
So I love that you're telling these stories because these are stories that people don't know. You know, like I didn't even know Adam was here 7 years. Like I was gonna say, hey Adam, we got our plan. We're gonna give Jill her shot in the beginning, and then we focus on you, buddy. You know, but it all really intertwines, right? And that's why, like I said, I made sure to wear the Archer shirt
I have
because
to get one.
you know, nope, Mike, I need another one. No, and because all of these things come from having a real relationship with City Center, right?
Yep.
So I could have easily judged you because we didn't start off like at the best. Right? We had to bump a little heads because
Sure.
I was bringing a game element to your situation, you know, and an awareness, you know, that most people weren't paying attention to, right? So there was we had to knock heads a little bit, right? And then we had
we all have our chapters, right?
Yeah.
You just have what different chapters you're going through.
And I think the knocking of the heads helped though, because it wasn't like we were being combative. We were just standing our ground for what our visions were. You know, my vision was, and always is a safer Allentown, and so is yours.
That's right.
You know, but our approach to getting to a safer Allentown was just slightly different.
Yep.
Right. So it took some conversation, some curiosity, and some willingness, right? Because we both had to be willing, right? City Center, right? Be willing to bend,
Absolutely.
and us be willing to understand,
Yep.
right? Because one of the things we learned early was, if we really want to make a city safer, we create ownership, and different things. So we start, you started the real estate lab, and there was so many different phases that went through this that we don't give you guys enough credit for.
Well, and we're going to do another class of real estate labs, so keep your eyes and ears open because we want to keep fueling these opportunities for everybody. I never knew real estate. I came here 8.5 years ago. I was just a marketer, salesperson. Got into real estate. If you are curious and you want, you figure it out. And so there's more to come.
And I love that because our first walk with JB Riley through the hood, right? We walked through the hood, and JB showed us his first property.
Yes.
People didn't realize that his first property was a small property on Ethan Liberty.
That's right.
And he was like, it started from this.
Yep.
Right. And I state that because someone thought he just built all of this, right?
Yeah.
It started from this little, and it wasn't even a multi-family home.
Nope.
It was a one family home that led to all of
all starts somewhere, right?
Yes, right. And curiosity, right? He had some curiosity, and by having that curiosity, because he could have, from the first conversation, you guys could have kicked us out because I wasn't very nice, because I stood for something, right? And standing for something, sometimes we don't always understand how to communicate.
That's key, and you flush it through, right?
Yes.
But the thing I want everyone to know is because of that walk and him listening and hearing what you all were sharing and curious about and what you had in nuggets, it's how the real estate lab really started to formulate, because he heard there's ideas, there's smarts. Everybody's running businesses, but you know what? How can we maybe bring the real estate and the business together? And that's really how that kind of started to, the idea of it. And then he met up with Yusuf, and then it got married, you know? So it was like, here's an idea, and then here's the person, and then it took off.
Yes, and we had some great people come through the real estate lab. I've known some great people that have gotten some properties.
I love it.
I still see some of the young people like Abraham, who went through the lab and got some property, and and some of these people were under 30, right? 25, like Abraham was like 22 or 23 when he went through.
I love it.
And then you had some older people who never got an opportunity if it wasn't for that lab. So like that's super, super exciting, and I say that as we are under the lights of what, of this beautifulness.
Yeah, the mojo's changing.
Right. The mojo's changing. Adam, when you put these back beautiful lights back there, what were you thinking? Because I love it. Like this is like when it gets too cold to film outside and I gotta come back in, I don't know what we're gonna do because
I know we're gonna throw you up in one of the bunk bedrooms, buddy.
Yeah, seriously. And I'm gonna have to go.
Yeah, I know.
But it's already 8:30. I can't believe it. So fun. So
Yes,
fun.
yes. That's why I told Adam she'll get her
Yeah,
time,
yeah,
but
good.
we're gonna get our focus on. But we wanted to
Yeah,
make sure that people realize, first of all, right, curiosity can
Yes.
change a lot. Don't judge. Please ask.
Always ask because you never know till you ask.
Never know till you ask, right? That's a great thing. And then this connection, we couldn't have Adam without Jill because we
absolutely.
didn't meet Adam without Jill.
This is true.
We don't have you don't right? You don't have to be perfect filmed in this beautiful setting, right? If Jill doesn't say, hey, let me make this happen.
Correct.
Always.
If Joe doesn't say, "Hey, let me introduce you to Adam," and then I still had to step up, right? And people don't think because you get a connection, you can rest on your laurels, right? Get a
No,
good connection, be impressive,
Yep.
right? Do something that allows you to be mutually beneficial,
that's right.
right? Because I wanted her when she got the call back to say, "Hey, he offered something. He didn't just take." Right? And that's where we go wrong so many times.
That's right. And help each other grow, whatever that growth
Yep.
is. So yeah.
Yes. So we're gonna say goodbye to our sister Jill
Yes.
as we
Thank you.
focus on
Thank
our
you.
brother
Good to see you,
Adam.
Jill.
Thank you for
Bye,
joining
Adam.
us.
Good to see
Yes.
you. It was so
Yes.
nice to meet you.
Yes. Yes. So Adam, we are back here and we want to talk what's going on at the Moxie. Right?
Yeah, little.
Because you guys are doing some amazing things to set up the summer out in your back patio,
Yeah.
you know. So I want you to talk,
Yep.
Moxie, what's coming, you know, rooms, whatever it is, because I don't think people realize how beautiful this whole situation
Yeah.
is,
Yeah,
right?
bet. Boxy. So we just opened in January. So obviously, with us opening in the dead of winter there, that courtyard area where you are now, we didn't really get to activate that. It was covered with snow, on and off throughout the winter. But now it's, a good stretch of weather. It's been great. And I know you were over there. We had DJ Fury over there, DJ Big Fury. He was doing his thing over there back. That was the first weekend in May, and that was really the first time we opened that
Yes, sir.
outdoor area like that. So obviously we have the bar inside, and it's a cool vibe in there. But the outside effect, we got everybody loves a good outside venue, whether out big or small. During the summer months and spring, um, got the fire pit over there. But yeah, I mean, we're essentially going to have more musical stuff over there. We're gonna probably do a movie showing. We're gonna get a projector and do a movie and have some cocktails that are themed after the movie. Um, we're gonna come up with a couple cool things. We're gonna do some yoga out there, some small things as well. But yeah, we're gonna try to use that courtyard area. But I mean, the Moxie, we have 133 rooms. The bar's been super lively. I know you've seen it kind of busy a couple times when you were over. But yeah, really good bar scene. It's kind of, I swear we have people in there that they've been there a couple times and their second or third time they're like, wait, there's a hotel here. I'm like, yeah, it's not just the bar side of it, like, which is what we want. So many times hotel bars um, have this like stigma attached to it where it's like, they get business and whatnot, but it's not really treated like a neighborhood bar. But the Moxie's kind of been getting a little bit of that neighborhood treatment from the people who live close and, on the outskirts of the Lehigh Valley. A lot of people have been coming just to grab cocktails and without even having a room. So we're really pleased with that, man. And it's summertime. It's all about having a good time. And like I said, the brand is all about having fun. So, I think this summer is going to be a lot of fun. We had DJ Cap C, local guy. He was
Okay.
here. He was performing there over the weekend. I'm hoping to link up with you to get some things going musically and,
Yes,
working with you.
we got hip hop on the wall, so we're definitely gonna get together, you know. And what I love about this though, bro, is because you came, and I guess because you came through the 7 years, you're very open, right, to hearing great ideas, right?
Yeah.
Because you seem to be, really with the times, right? Because like I said, when you walk into the Moxie, there's a vibe, right? And I think that that neighborhood feeling you're getting is because it feels like we belong here. Of course, there's the hotel, right? And
Yep.
people, and when you come to Allentown, if you're not renting at the Renaissance, definitely make sure you get a room at the Moxie, right? But it really feels like we belong here. Like when you
Yeah.
walk in, you have very friendly front desk people, right? They don't chase people away. Like they don't
Yeah.
ask, do you have a room? They ask, how
Yep.
can I help you? Which is the
Yep.
difference, right? Is
True.
that intentional? That your staff asks, how can they help versus, do you have a room? Because that
Yeah.
feels welcoming.
Yeah, absolutely, man. I mean, we like even yesterday, I mean, there were a ton of people coming in who didn't have a room, but you kind of let them come in and check. So many people have come through just to check the place out. So you let them look around, man. Like, I mean, I would never want to chase out. Like, let's say somebody comes in with their family, just who lives across the street. They got some cousins or whatever in town, and they just want to show the aesthetic of the place. I would never wanna be like, "Are you a guest?" and, like, make it seem like I was, like, investigating them. Because 1, they're coming even if they're just coming to take a look, man, like, they go tell a friend about it, or they come back on a Friday night for drinks, like, man, you want eyes on the place for sure. Now, like, obviously, we don't want anything crazy, crazy riffraff, but, like, at the same time, you want people coming in and putting eyes on it and getting that feel for it. So, yeah, I mean, even yesterday, a ton of people were in that so many people were in who didn't have a room, but they were either getting a drink, and a lot of them, if they weren't getting a drink, they were at least checking it out, and, like, now they know about, the Moxie. So, yeah, definitely intentional to kinda just vibe with people and see how can you help them, just greet them essentially instead of grilling them and saying, "Hey, do you have a room?" It just makes for a good atmosphere, man. Like, I'm so glad you're doing this show over there. Like, we gotta get you in some more different types of rooms. But
Yeah, we're gonna go back. We're gonna go back to the different rooms. We definitely will.
it's a
But what
fun
I
thing though
what
to
I
have you
love,
over there, man.
yeah. I mean, and people are getting to see, like, organically. That's another. You got a lot of organic walk-ins because people are like, oh, I seen the show at the
Yeah.
Moxie, and I just walked in. I have a couple people that tell me that they've made the Moxie their unofficial office space, right? Like I get some coffee, like I'll grab some stuff, like, cause I like
Yeah,
the
man.
vibe
You're
now,
always
you
welcome.
know, and you know, and it's so wonderful, right? The way your staff um greets people, right? And being that I spent 25 years in the music industry, I've been in hotels all across the
Sure.
country, all across the world, so I know um what it looks like to feel welcoming, right? When I first started filming here, no one asked me did I have permission to film. No, like I filmed
Yeah.
for weeks,
Well,
because
you
I
were in
just
for
like
that
that
lion.
lion on the wall, right? I
That was your
love that
spot.
lion. I was in love with that lion, right? So it made me feel a kind of way. So no one asked. No one,
No.
I wasn't a troublemaker, but I wasn't making noise. I wasn't interrupting anyone. No one asked. The only thing they would do is ask, "Do you
Yeah.
need a drink? Do you want a drink? Do you need something?" Which is great
Yep.
waiting staff, right? Because if I'm sitting there for an hour, and I'm in a public space, you should see if I want
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
something, right? So I love that your staff really makes sure that we are part of your Moxie community. So I want to commend you for
Yeah.
your leadership,
Thank you,
for
buddy.
doing that, because that is not a normal feel in a hotel. The first question when you walk in a hotel is usually,
Yep.
"Do
Yep.
you have a room?" Your staff's first question has been, "How can I help you?" Which is a much different feeling, because how can I help you
True.
can be anything. I mean, I have a room, but
True.
I may want a room now because you asked. Because how can I help them? I may want a drink now. There were a couple times where I didn't want anything, but because he asked, how could I
Yeah.
help? I bought something,
Yep.
because it felt good. How can you help? I don't know if you get a commission. Yeah, let me help you.
True.
Because I know, right? And that feels good, right? So I want to thank you, for
Of
creating
course.
something here in this community that we can feel like is our home
Yep.
away from home, right? So if you need a hotel room and and you're not as big as the Renaissance, or you want a hotel room, or you
Yep.
just want to have fun, right? Because the Moxie
Yeah.
rooms are real fun. Go back and look at some of the other You Don't Have to Be Perfects, so you can see the different rooms. I didn't get to showcase a bunk bed room, but we
Yeah.
will. But the rooms are fun, and the showers seem
Yeah.
lively. I didn't do a shower video, but I will in my trunk for you guys. I'm gonna do one of those. I'm gonna have my trunks on. So you see how wonderful everything is. I'm gonna bring my content lady. You're gonna see Paz in his swim trunks. But no, seriously, everything here feels like even the
Yep.
graffiti on the wall, right? That I'm
Yeah.
looking at in this back, right? It feels like community, right? Because when you walk in and you walk into a nice hotel, because it's classy graffiti. It's not like
Yep.
tag, right? So you feel the hip hop feel, but you also didn't lose the class
Agreed.
of being a real hotel. So I love it here.
Yeah,
I'm
glad you
thankful
enjoy,
to
buddy.
be here. I'm excited that we get to film every every Monday here. I'm glad that we're going to be building out some more networking events here. And I got some other things that I'll be calling off camera about because we don't want to tell them all. I
Perfect.
got some good
Perfect.
things for you though. Especially for this back area. I think I got something. My content creator has
Very
something that
cool.
I think you'll really love.
Very cool.
But I love that this is here. So I wanna tell people, and I'm gonna give you a chance to see this whole view because that's the great thing of having the webcam. But I can show you how beautiful this is. Like this view is amazing, and you got a chance to get something wonderful and feel comfortable because
No,
this
I
gentleman
appreciate
here
that. I appreciate that
is
feedback
great
too,
leader.
man. We want everybody to feel welcome. I'm glad that you've always sensed that when you come in. So, you're always welcome, and anything you ever need from me, buddy.
Yes, and I know we're getting close to the end of the show, and it goes by quickly. So I want we're gonna do today what we do with all of our main guests on our show. First of all, before we do that, I want you to tell them where the Moxie is, how they can rent a room, and then we'll make sure to do our closer because we want to make
Sure.
sure that people come through this
Yeah, so
beautiful
we're
space.
located 949 West Hamilton Street in Allentown. Um, and to book a room, best bet would be Marriott.com, and then it would be /ABE as in Allentown, Bethlehem Easton, X as in X-ray, D as in David. So Marriott.com/ABEXD. So yeah, if you go there, you'll see our different room types and a bunch of photos of our bar and kind of our lounge spaces. So that'd be the best spot.
Yes. So before we leave, Adam, I'm going to ask you to do what we've done with all of our guests, and I'm going to ask you to say our personal
Okay.
manifesto with us. I'm going to say it for you full through, and then I'll ask you to repeat it. So our personal manifesto goes like this: I love me. I'm worthy. Some people may not like me, but I don't care because the people that matter will be glad that I'm here. So
I love
I
me.
love me.
I'm worthy. I'm worthy.
I'm worthy. Some people may
Some
not
people
like
may
me.
not like me,
Some people may not like me,
but I
but
don't
I
care
don't care because the people that
because the
matter
people that matter will be
will be
glad that I'm
glad that
here.
I'm here.
Oh,
And yes, we are. We were glad that you spent this time with us, Adam. We were glad that you were actually on. You don't have to be perfect. We are glad that you gave us a place where we can host ourselves every week. We're glad that we had our
Yes.
sister Jill on to show how this all came together. We are glad that we were the first live show in your back area. We are glad that you are at 949 Hamilton Street. We are glad that you don't have to be perfect. You just have to get started. And more importantly, we are glad that 7 years ago, you got started. Because without those 7 years start, right? Because 7 years ago, he didn't know he was going to be the GM
Yep.
of the Moxie. So he didn't have to be perfect, but he had to get started. And now look where we are now. So I'll let you give the last word,
No, I
Adam.
appreciate you, man. I appreciate City Center, our management company, Gulf Creek. But yeah, props to City Center, and thank you, buddy. I'm happy to have met you, and plenty to come, man. Plenty to come down at the Moxie and in that surrounding area. A lot more to come down there on that west side of Allentown.
Yes, sir. You don't have to be